In 2001, in the heart of Malawi, the wind was not a friend. It was a thief. It swept across the land, carrying away the last of the topsoil, leaving the earth barren and cracked. It was the sound of hunger. For the people of Masatala village, the wind was a constant, cruel reminder of a devastating famine that was strangling the life out of their nation. It offered no power, no relief, only dust and despair. But in this place, forgotten by rain and cursed by the wind, a 14-year-old boy looked at this invisible force and saw something no one else did. He didn't see a thief, he saw an answer. This is the story of how a boy, armed with nothing but curiosity and junk, battled starvation not with aid but with an idea. A story of how he harnessed the very wind that sought to destroy him. The year 2001 brought Malawi to its knees. A catastrophic famine gripped the nation. The maize crops, the staple food for millions, failed completely. Prices for a single bag of flour skyrocketed, becoming a luxury that few could afford. In the village of Masatala, every day was a struggle for survival. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the fields, once green with promise, were now graveyards of withered stalks. For the Kamkwamba family, this reality was inescapable. Trilwell Kamkwamba, a farmer, worked the stubborn earth, but it gave back nothing. His son William was a bright, curious boy with a hunger for knowledge that was as sharp as the hunger in his stomach. He loved taking apart radios, figuring out how they worked, trying to understand the magic of their invisible signals. But the famine changed everything. The family's meager savings disappeared. There was no money for crops, no money for food, and certainly no money for education. William was told he could no longer go to school. The fee was only $80, but in a world where a meal was a miracle, it might as well have been $1 million. For many, this would have been the end of the story. A brilliant mind extinguished by poverty. He watched his former classmates walk to school each morning, a path he could no longer follow. The world of books and learning was locked away from him, but William refused to let his curiosity die. He couldn't go to school, so he found another path. A small, dusty community library, funded by international aid, became his new classroom. It was a humble place with just a few shelves of donated books. Most were old, some with pages missing, but to William it was a treasure chest. He devoured every book he could find, especially those on science. He learned about electromagnetism and turbines. His hands, no longer busy with schoolwork, were now filled with diagrams and ideas. Then one afternoon he pulled a book from the shelf. It was an old American textbook called Using Energy. The cover showed a row of sleek, powerful windmills. Inside, a simple diagram explained how a windmill could convert the kinetic power of the wind into electricity, a force that could pump water and generate light. William stared at that diagram for hours. He looked out the library window at the trees, swaying in the relentless wind, the wind that brought only dust and sorrow. And a spark ignited in his mind. An idea so audacious, so impossible, it was laughable. If an American book said it was possible, why not here? Why couldn't he build one himself? In that moment, the wind ceased to be a curse. It became a promise. William's mission began in the one place that held the discarded bones of the modern world, the local scrapyard. This was his treasure hunt. While others saw piles of rust and refuse, William saw a collection of possibilities. He needed parts. For the main tower, he found the lanky frame of an old bicycle. For the blades, he salvaged PVC pipes, which he slowly, painstakingly heated over a fire and flattened into shape. The most crucial part, the generator, came from a tractor fan motor he managed to buy after weeks of hard labor. He found a shock absorber, a bicycle chain, and old bolts. Each piece of junk was a victory. His project quickly became the subject of village gossip. They saw a boy who should have been helping his father in the barren fields, playing with trash instead. They didn't see a scientist. They saw a child who had lost his mind to hunger. They called him Maisala, crazy. The doubt was everywhere. His own father, consumed by the daily worry of feeding his family, saw the growing tower of scrap behind their home as a monument to his son's foolishness. He pleaded with William to stop, to focus on practical matters. But William's vision was locked in. He had seen the diagram in the book. He knew it could work. He worked tirelessly with no proper tools. He used a heated nail to drill holes. He carved a wooden washer with a shard of glass. His knuckles were bruised, his hands cut and calloused. Every day was a battle against the materials, against the doubts, against the whispers that followed him like a shadow. Slowly, impossibly, the machine began to take shape. He assembled the pieces. The bicycle frame became the tower. The tractor fan became the engine. The flattened PVC pipes became the blades. It was a strange, rickety creation, a skeleton of scrap metal and plastic that looked like it might collapse at any moment. The day finally came. With the help of his two best friends, who were among the few who believed in him, William hoisted the windmill into the air. A small crowd gathered, not to cheer but to watch the madman's folly inevitably fail. They waited for the wind to tear it apart, for the final confirmation that he was indeed crazy. William climbed the wobbly tower one last time. He made a final adjustment. He connected 2 thin wires from the generator down to a single tiny light bulb he had salvaged from a flashlight. He held his breath. Now all he could do was wait for the wind. The air was still. The crowd waited. And then, a gust of wind swept through the village. The PVC blades groaned. They began to turn slowly at first, then faster and faster. The bicycle chain rattled as it spun the motor into life. Down on the ground, the wires trembled. The tiny filament inside the light bulb began to glow, a faint orange at first. And then, it happened. A single brilliant point of white light cut through the afternoon gloom. It wasn't magic. It was science. It was ingenuity. The mocking laughter of the villagers dissolved into stunned silence, then into murmurs of disbelief and wonder. The crazy boy had done it. He had captured the wind. That one small light bulb changed everything. It was the first light in his family's home that wasn't from a smoky kerosene lamp. Soon, the single bulb became 4 lights. William built a switchboard from old sandals and nails. His family had light in the evenings. They could read, they could talk, they could live after the sun went down. Word spread like fire. People started coming from all over the village, not to mock, but to ask for a favor. They brought their cell phones, their mobiles, and for a small fee, William would connect them to his creation. The boy who couldn't afford school fees was now running a business, powered by the wind and junk. But the story doesn't end there. News of the boy who harnessed the wind reached far beyond his village. Journalists came, then bloggers, then conference organizers. In 2007, William Kamkwamba, the boy who taught himself from a discarded library book, was invited to stand on the prestigious TED Global stage. He was shy, speaking in broken English, but his story of innovation born from desperation captivated the world. The boy who had been forced out of school was suddenly flooded with offers of support to continue his education. He attended the African Leadership Academy in South Africa and went on to graduate from one of America's most elite institutions, Dartmouth College. William never forgot where he came from. He returned to his village, but this time, he brought more than just a single light bulb. He used his newfound knowledge and resources to build bigger, more powerful windmills. He built a solar-powered water pump that gave his village clean drinking water for the first time, ending the threat of cholera. He helped build the local school, the very place he couldn't attend, ensuring other children would have the chance he almost lost. The wind over Masitala no longer sounds like hunger. It sounds like progress. It sounds like light. It sounds like the future. William Kamkwamba's story is a powerful reminder that circumstance does not define destiny, that within the harshest of challenges lies the seed of the most profound innovation. It teaches us that the will to learn, to build, and to dream cannot be locked away, and that sometimes the most world-changing ideas come not from polished laboratories but from a dusty scrapyard in the hands of a boy the world had written off as crazy. What other inspiring stories of innovation should we tell? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe for more stories that matter.